People who work in the medical field, what were some of the most scary last words you've heard from a dying patient? 1. My dad had colon cancer. He said to me he didn't want to go to sleep because he knew he wouldn't wake up. He did die in his sleep that night. 2. Never really had any scary ones. Most of my work has been in cancer, and so they've either died in a relatively comfortable manner with palliative care, or they've tended to go pretty suddenly. My favorite was a chap who was unresponsive for a few days, woke up suddenly and asked for a cornetto, ice cream, not a croissant. A nurse popped to the shops and got him one. He ate it, and then closed his eyes and died. Dude just had to get one last cornetto in. Legend. 3. Dying man to his daughter. Honey, I'm sorry, but I have to go. 4. I have done hospice work, home health care, and worked in a nursing home. The best one was in a nursing home with an elderly man. We knew it was coming soon, but he has no family, so we were taking turns just being with him. He opened his eyes and smiled and said, "It's such a lovely day. Don't let this spoil it." It really was a perfect spring day. He passed about 5 minutes later. The saddest was a lady in hospice care. She kept saying, "Not until they're all here. Not until they're all here." The family finally admitted she had a son that she had disowned many years prior. They tried to locate him but weren't successful. She died crying for her boy. 5. Not a healthcare worker, but I was at work and a guy had a heart attack. He fell over and was having some spasms, and he said, "I am going to die at work." He was gone before the ambulance got there, and he passed on the shop floor with a wrench in his hand. 6. Elderly woman was on the phone with her husband deciding on what her code status, whether or not to CPR should be. She went into cardiac arrest mid-sentence. We didn't notice the phone when doing CPR until after she was pronounced dead. Husband listened to the entire thing. 7. I have worked in the medical field for almost 20 years, but the one with most impact was from my grandma. She told me my grandpa was waiting for her. She wanted to be him, but most of all, she was tired of seeing me so tired and not having a life anymore. For context, I had to quit working and put my life on hold for over 2 years to take of her full time. So she asked for a DNR. I signed, and she became unconscious shortly and subsequently passed. 8. I was in the Army, and one of my fellow soldiers was able to call their parents on a sat phone during their death. Their last words were apologies for causing so much trouble as a teen, and how they wished they could be back home to fix everything. The parents were in shock, and I had to take the phone to let them know their child was gone. I relive this scene on repeat in my nightmares. 9. I volunteer with hospice, and my patient had fallen and was not doing well. She wasn't really fully awake and aware while I was there. When I went to leave, she looked me in the eyes and was so there, not sure of a better word, and said, "I love you" to me for the first and last time. She was just so sweet, and I still miss her. 10. One patient of my mom's was an elderly man at the ER who was cursing out his wife with the final gasps of breath he could muster. His words were incoherent, but you could feel they were full of anger. We later found out he was poisoned, and the wife was likely the culprit due to an insurance fraud case.